A lot of times you hear me talk about a hyperstimulated nervous system, an overly sensitized nervous system. I always say that the root cause of these anxiety symptoms is an overstimulated nervous system, an overprotective nervous system, a sensitized nervous system. But some of you don't even know what are nerves. They don't understand the word sensitization. So I want to explain to you sensitization, what are nerves and how they become overly sensitized, and I'm also gonna tell you how to desensitize your nervous system, because when you focus on overcoming anxiety, when you focus on desensitizing your nervous system, you overcome the symptoms. Those symptoms will go away as a consequence of you desensitizing your nervous system. So that's what we want to talk about in this video. If you're new here or you're seeing me for the first time, my name is Bodily. Albert is an ex-anxiety sufferer who uses her own experience of suffering and recovery to help others who are still struggling. If you have not yet subscribed yet, I would urge you to watch this video up to the end. If you feel like this video is valuable or you want to see more of these videos on your timeline, kindly hit that subscription button. Subscription is free. No one will ask you for any money. The only thing with subscription is that it helps the channel grow. YouTube pushes these videos to other people who may need them. So yeah, subscribe to the channel if you find these videos valuable. Otherwise, let's get started into the video. So what is the nervous system? The nervous system, I can explain it as a whole as your body's communication network. It is an intelligent system within your body that helps in communication. It communicates between your brain, your body, and the world around you. It runs right through from your brain to your toes, through your body. The nervous system has a lot of functions in your body. The functions of the nervous system are, it helps you in thinking, it helps you in feeling emotions, it helps you in moving around, it helps you in responding to danger, and it helps with automatic functions of the body like, heartbeat or breathing. Those are all the functions of the nervous system. But in this case, we want to focus on your safety, because the main function of the nervous system is to keep you safe. It prioritizes your safety. Every mammal in this earth has the nervous system, because you can't literally survive in this world without the nervous system. It helps in keeping us safe. It helps us in detecting danger. Let's say you are outside and you hear gunshots. If you didn't have the nervous system, you'll just sit there waiting to be shot. But because you have a nervous system, it will be the one communicating to your brain, and your brain communicates back for you to be able to flee or fight this situation. So the nervous system, every person has a nervous system. It's just that someone struggling with anxiety, their nervous system is overly sensitized. And what is sensitization? Sensitization is when your nervous system is stuck in a state of high alert. It is stuck, it is hyperstimulated. It is where your nervous system overly responds to stress, to situations, to sensations, to perceived threats. That's now where we say your nervous system is sensitized. And what brings this sensitization? Sensitization can be brought by anything. It can be brought by a life event. Life event can be anything. Maybe it is economic struggles, financial struggles, and unemployment. To some people it was grief, death of a loved one. To some people it is after a surgery, after injury. To some people it is marijuana. To some people it is nothing. They just found themselves having those symptoms, and it is not necessarily nothing. You had anxious energy within. It is from stress buildup from the past. Now you started experiencing anxiety. When your nervous system is hyperstimulated, you experience anxiety symptoms, and that's why you start experiencing symptoms like the racing heart, digestive issues, dizziness, hyper awareness. You are panicky, you are always on edge, you're experiencing muscle tension, weak legs. All those symptoms of sensitization are brought by your nerves being hyperstimulated. When the nervous system is hyperstimulated, it first of all stays in a state of high alert. It constantly scans for danger. It overreacts to normal bodily sensations, and also it takes time to go back to baseline after a stressful life event. So up to this point, I hope you understand what the nervous system is and what sensitization is and why you are having those symptoms. When the first time you got diagnosed with anxiety, of course, doctors were not giving you solutions to whatever you are struggling with. So you started digging deeper, you started wanting to understand anxiety, you started gaining the knowledge, like, are there people who also feel the way I feel? Then you find that, okay, anxiety literally is my nerves being desensitized. Then you start, you get people on the internet, or you start hearing, you need to, there are some tools that you need to incorporate for you to be able to, desensitize your nervous system. In fact, then they say regulating your nervous system, but I'm not gonna use, I avoid using the word regulate your nervous system, because first of all, to me, it seems like coping. Like, regulating for me feels like coping, because let me just regulate it for now, but I'll still have to deal with it later. So you'll have to be always regulating. But me, what I focus on in this channel is having to desensitize your nervous system once and for all, because regulation is like coping. Okay, let me do this. Some of the regulation tools that people talk about is breathing techniques. They talk about meditation, they talk about yoga, all those things that you need to regulate your nervous system. But honestly, if you regulate, do you prefer regulating your nervous system for now, or having to desensitize your nervous system once and for all, and not dealing with these symptoms anymore? So because you're dealing with sensitization, you say, okay, let me try all of these things. You try the meditation, you try the breathing techniques, you try the yoga, but they don't work. All of those tools don't work. They can work for normal stress out there, or they can give you short-term relief from the anxiety, but in the long term you'll still be dealing with these symptoms without those tools having to work. And the irony is that those tools are the one keeping your nervous system in a state of high alert, and I'm gonna explain how. The paradox of anxiety is that the more you try hard to desensitize your nervous system, the more you are keeping your nervous system sensitized. That is the paradox of anxiety. The more you try too hard to desensitize your nervous system, to calm down, the more you are keeping your nerves in a state of high alert. Because the moment you are doing these things, the moment you are doing the breathing, the moment you are doing the the yoga, the meditation, what your brain reads into that is there is threat around. Your brain is reading that there is danger around. And when your nervous system sees that, okay, there is danger around, remember, the main job of the nervous system is to keep you safe. So the moment it reads, it sees it is keenly watching the way you are reacting. It is keenly watching your behaviors. And the moment it sees you doing all of those things, you know what you always do. It reads that there is danger, and this keeps your nervous system in a state of high alert. It keeps it always scanning for danger, because your past behaviors, you have always reacted in danger. You have all of those things that you always do. Your brain reads that there is danger around. So those behaviors, I want you to stop doing those behaviors from now, because you think you are trying to, find relief from anxiety, while in reality, those behaviors are the ones that are keeping your nervous system sensitized. So how do you desensitize your nervous system? Okay, I've talked about whatever is keeping your nervous system in a state of high alert. I've talked about, the tools that don't work, for desensitizing your nervous system. So how do you desensitize your nervous system? This thing really comes down to changing your relationship with your thoughts and feelings, changing your relationship with your sensations, changing your relationship with your physical symptoms, changing your relationship with how you feel. Make peace with how you feel. Make peace with those thoughts. Make peace with those symptoms. Make peace with, however you're feeling. That's the way to desensitize your nervous system, because we are trying to incorporate safety behaviors. And what is safe? Remember, I have told you that the brain, I have always said that the brain does not learn through affirmations. The brain does not learn through logic. Your nervous system won't learn through affirmations. It won't learn through logic. Your nervous system only learns through what it sees, your behaviors. That is the way. So you have to incorporate safety behaviors. You need to know that anxiety thrives on your fear and attention. And the moment that you feel like, let me calm down, I'm trying to, desensitize my nervous system with all of those things that you always do, you are feeding into the anxiety. You are focusing on the anxiety. You are giving the anxiety attention. And remember, what you focus on grows in size. So the moment that you are doing these behaviors, you are feeding the anxiety. You are giving the anxiety attention, and your focus and fear keeps the disordered loop of anxiety alive. It keeps your nervous system in hyperstimulated. Instead of focusing on the anxiety, instead of, giving it attention, change your relationship with it. Start responding instead of reacting. You need to know this. Hyperstimulation brings chronic anxiety symptoms, and once you have been to a professional, I believe by the time you're watching this video you have been to a professional and everything is coming out fine, everything has been ruled out by the doctor. If you're watching this video and you have not been to the doctor, kindly stop and go. Don't use these videos as a substitute for for medical advice. Use these videos once you have been to the doctor, everything is cleared out fine, and whatever you're dealing with is sensitization, is anxiety. That is the right person to watch this video. So you have been to a professional, everything is fine. Even if a new symptom comes up, that helped me in not asking the question of, is this anxiety? Okay, tell me, is this anxiety? Is this? Once I had been to a doctor and everything came out fine, every symptom that I experienced after that, it was anxiety. So you throw it under the anxiety umbrella. Any symptom that comes, whether it's the thought, whether it's sensation, whether it's the physical symptoms, whether it's the emotions, throw them under the anxiety umbrella. Don't try to figure out the thoughts. Don't try to desperately try to make the thought go away. Don't try to mentally figure out the thoughts, because these are the same behaviors. Mentally, those behaviors can be mental or physical. These are the same behaviors that are keeping your nervous system in a state of high alert. Let me ask you this question. What do you do when you have a symptom like let me choose, like, let's say heart palpitation, because it's the most common one. What do you do when you have a heart palpitation? Do you check your heart rate? Do you do this? You want to know how fast it is beating. Do you check your your pulse? Do you check your blood pressure? What do you do? Stop checking your BP. Stop checking your heart rate. Stop checking your pulse, because by the time you are checking, you are an anxious person. By the time you're checking, you are anxious. You're going to find that your BP has risen, because anxiety causes a spike in blood pressure. And when you're anxious, your blood pressure can spike. Though anxiety does not cause a permanent blood pressure condition. You don't need to take meds for, blood pressure brought by anxiety, because it is only a spike. So by the time you're checking, you find that your BP has spiked. You worry, more anxiety, more of the symptoms, you figure out more sensitization. You see the way you have developed that loop. It first starts by you checking this action that you have taken. You already know that the heart palpitations are brought by a hyperstimulated nervous system. Why are you checking? Why are you checking your BP when like anxiety can spike your BP? Why are you checking your pulse rate? These behaviors are the one you are the weapon formed against yourself. You are the weapon formed against your healing. When you stop checking your BP, when you stop checking your pulse rate, all these things are gonna go back to baseline, because you are not feeding onto them more. You are not adding pressure anymore. You are not gonna mentally figure out when you find that it is high. You're not gonna be anxious. You're not gonna be worried, and that's where your BP starts going back to baseline, and that's where your nervous system starts desensitizing, because now you're living your life. You no longer care whether your BP is high or low. When you ask me like, hey Albert, what did you do for your BP to go back to baseline? I literally did nothing. I just stopped worrying about it, because I knew that sometimes there can be a spike. I just stopped worrying about it. I just stopped doing something about it. I stopped adding pressure to my already sensitized nerves, and my BP went back to baseline. Because when you're going to check, you are already anxious. You're gonna find your BP is high. You're gonna worry more. You're gonna stress more anxiety, more figuring out, more sensitization. It's a loop that you have formed yourself, and you're the one who can decide, you know what, I want to stop this loop by not checking my heart rate, by not checking my weight. To some people it is even weight. By not checking your pulse. That's how to stop the disordered loop. Something you also need to know is that when you are in that state of sensitization, your nervous system interprets everything as danger. This is because your past behaviors of fixing, your past behaviors of focusing, your past behaviors of fearing, running away, resisting, it has always communicated otherwise. So when you're trying to face your fears, when you're trying to incorporate safety behaviors, when you're trying to live your life, know that the nervous system system is gonna shout louder. It's gonna scream to you, run away. It's gonna scream to you, you know, this thought, can you solve it? Can you, you know, make it go away? It's gonna scream to you because your nervous system, its main priority is to keep you safe. So if it sees anything that is not safe to you, everything, your past behaviors have always communicated otherwise, it will always want you to solve this thing. It will always want you to be in a safe place. So the nervous system is gonna shout, and it's gonna take time for you to incorporate these safety behaviors and actually show your nervous system that, can you please stop misfiring, because you know, I don't need those alarms, I am safe. And how do you do it? By your behaviors, by sitting in the discomfort. It's gonna be uncomfortable because these are not things that you are used to doing. You are used to running away, you are used to, you know, avoiding life. So when you start living your life, when you start showing your nervous system the opposite, then it's gonna be hard, it's gonna be uncomfortable, it's gonna be scary. But choose your heart. Are you willing to struggle with anxiety for more months, for more years, or you're willing to choose the other hand of going out, of, you know, learning to sit with the, you know, uncomfortable sensations? What do you choose? Bring those sensations with you, start living your life, let those sensations ride along the way as you keep living your life. Also, something that I always ask people when they join my program is that, do you have a goal? Do you have a goal in life? Because if you don't have a goal, if you just sit there, your life has no, like, it has no order, it is not organized, you know, your brain will always want to focus on anxiety. You know, you can't do anything, you can't function because all you think about is anxiety. But when you have a goal, when you have something that you're focusing on, when you're focusing on your hobbies, when you have a job, you know, when you're doing something, your brain will have something to focus on apart from anxiety. So always try and have a goal so that your life can a little bit have, you know, some order, can a little have some meaning, and also your brain will find something to focus on instead of just focusing on anxiety. So bring those sensations with you. It's gonna be uncomfortable. The only way that your nervous system can learn is through your behaviors. It does not learn through, you know, logic. It does not learn through affirmations. Affirmations have never even worked for me, like even in real life, like after post anxiety, like, so someone is telling me to just go and stand in front of a mirror and just say I am rich. When your nervous system doesn't believe that you are rich, nothing is gonna happen. So affirmations don't work, logic don't work. It only works through your past behaviors. Instead of trying to always fight your anxiety, instead of always trying to actively trying to desensitize nervous system, why not change your relationship with the anxiety? Because you have tried the opposite for years, you have tried for months, but it's not working. Why not try and change your relationship with anxiety? Because when you change your relationship with anxiety, it is the only way to communicate to your nervous system that you are safe. If you have watched up to this point, a thumbs up for this video, like this video, share this video to other people who may need it, and also subscribe because it helps the channel grow. I have a coaching program where I help people overcome anxiety disorders. If you want to work one-on-one with me, if you need my guidance out of the anxiety cycle, use this WhatsApp or this email to reach out to me. Otherwise, let's meet on the next one.